The whole point of social media in the early days was to augment our social interactions, was to make it better, not replace them. And we've replaced a lot of like this face-to-face in real life stuff with like online interaction, and it's not the same.
What's up, Teeters? This is Tree from treeoflogic.com, and I have my buddy Steven, aka Destiny. Now, you're going to hear me refer to him as Steven because I'm used to referring to him as that. And so he's here to join us. Say hello to everybody, Steven. Hello. Say hello.
Oh, I thought you were telling them to say hello to me. Like,
no,
say
I was saying, I was saying,
hello, everybody. Yeah, what's up? Okay, I misheard. My bad. I thought they were saying hi to me. I thought we were like pretending there was an audience saying, but hey, what's up?
All right, now some of you all are probably like, why did she has Destiny on here? And this is going to shock you. And I know I'm going to catch heat for this, but believe it or not, I observe him a lot. I interact with him a lot, and he is very good with women. I think he also understands a lot about relationships. So yeah, I decided to pick his brain because what I'm going to do, if you guys notice, in the past I have invited people from the center and the center left on, and I was like, why not just get a straight up liberal? Because I always invite right wingers on, and so we're going to do that with our buddy Steven here. So Steven, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, but not too much because I'm going to get right. Because of me, I missed the time, and I don't want to disrespect the time that you allowed me. So go ahead.
No, you're good. We got as much time as you need.
Okay, great.
Yeah, my name is Steven Bonnell. I go by Destiny online. It's usually people know me for. People generally know me for one of two things: either playing video games or doing politics. Where, as Tree pointed out, I'm pretty far left. I guess depending on who you are. I'm not like a socialist or communist, but I'm very far left in the United States. On top of that. Let's see. I mean, I've been streaming for 11 years. I'm in like an open/poly relationship. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to be talking about today 100%. So I guess, yeah, we'll get into that.
Well, yeah. Even though you're in a poly relationship, you have been in a monogamous relationship, correct?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Kinda?
Well, I mean, I cheated, so that's why I don't do monogamous relationships anymore.
Did you really? I did not know that.
Yeah, well.
Why did you cheat?
Probably because I don't know, because I can't do monogamous relationships.
Did you think it was? I mean, yeah, just out of curiosity, and I know this has nothing to do with the questions. When men cheat, I can't relate, but I do know some friends, and I do have some females who have been cheated on. Do men, they think it's something personal with them? Did you cheat because she was not? It was something with her personally, or was just something? Explain your purpose for cheating.
So I'm gonna be very careful when I give answers because I think that the way that I do relationships and process things, I think is sometimes kind of unique to other people. So if I'm answering for myself, I'll answer for myself, and then I'm answering in general.
Okay.
I'll try to be clear on that. Okay, so that I don't like mix it too much, right?
Okay.
So I would say that I would align myself here. I would say that in general, and for me, I think that usually when people cheat, it's because there's something else that they want, but they don't fully want to give up or completely hate what they already have. Yeah. I guess so. Like you might have somebody that you love them, you're comfortable with them, you enjoy doing things with them, but then there's like some extra thing that you want too. So then you go and pursue that. Now this is for me in particular, and I know some people say this, but it's hard to tell how honest it is. But for me, at least, and it feels like for men, there's a bit more of a separation between like sex and love, as opposed to women that seem to tie it in together a little bit more. Yeah. So I think this is why, like, oftentimes when a guy cheats, man, I'm speaking in big generalities here, okay? So just be warned for that. This won't apply in every circumstance. But when a guy cheats, if one guy hears that another guy cheats, I don't think the guy would ever ask him, like, wow, you cheated on her. Like, you must really fucking hate her, huh? Because it's not really, I think, in general, how we process things. Like, well, just because you cheat on someone doesn't mean you hate them. It means that there's probably something else that you wanted to go after. Not to say that that's okay or you should, fuck with a relationship or whatever. But when a woman hears that a guy cheats, usually it feels like the first thing her mind goes to is like, oh my God, he must fucking hate whatever woman he was originally with. Because like the idea that you could do that to somebody, like go and have sex with somebody else in a violent relationship, like the only way you could do this is if you totally fucking hate the person. So yeah, I think there's like a different view on
Or
on the different
vengeance or disrespect or something like that. I
Sure,
think that's what I think.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's go over our first question. And the first one is, what do most men want from women besides sex? And I would like you to, we understand that all of us are politically different. So I would see if you can give your personal experience from the men on your side versus the men you have witnessed on the other side politically.
I mean, I think that there's like this common foundation of things that people want, but then I think that the way that they play out are going to be a little bit differently based on their political side. Like, I think in general, I think that most people, like men and women, but you kind of want like just like a partner to run like your household. So this is like somebody that you do things with, somebody that you like share responsibilities with, just generally somebody that you feel like as a partner you kind of like approach like all of your life issues with. Now, if you're left leaning, this is probably going to come out more in, I don't know, if you go to fucking BLM protests or whatever fucking crazy shit people on the left do. And then if you're right leaning, it's probably going to come out more in that like I'm looking for somebody that is going to be like a good like caretaker for my household and my family, like literally household, like, you know, raises children and takes care of the house and everything.
Right, right. Okay, cool. Now, I've never met your girlfriend. I think she's lovely. Somebody has to definitely have a strong character to deal with you.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
And I wanted to see if you can name one great characteristic about her that you like, that you wish other American women, because she's not from America, she's from Sweden. And if there is any, I think there is, but that's one reason I ask as a form of assumption. What characteristic about her that you wish you could see in other American women?
So this is a hard one because she's very atypical, even for like a Swede.
Really?
Yeah, of course. Like just by virtue of like the world that I'm in and because of the life that she's had, like everybody that I interact with is probably going to be like a little bit off the norm from where they're from. So like I think that one thing that a lot of American women, I say American women, but I'm sure it's true of European women as well, is like the very, very, very obsessive like consumerist approach towards image. So the idea that you have to look a certain way, you have to fit a certain mold, you have to have like certain proportions, and then if you like fall out of this norm, you like begin to hate yourself.
Yes.
That's like a trend that I see all over like social media and everything, which is usually American dominated, but I'm sure a lot of European women have trouble with this as well.
Well, she has a beautiful body. I don't understand. Like,
Yeah, that's another thing too. It's harder to say because like I mean like. And again, it's a very complicated conversation to have, right? Because it's easy for somebody like her to be like, "Oh yeah, like I think it was natural." Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I understand that as well for sure. But yeah, so it's hard to say like how much of it is just because she's really lucky and that she's like very pretty, or
no, that's it.
What else? Yeah, just the not like the super self-obsessed thing in terms of like appearance and makeup and filters and blah 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 is not a good thing. Yeah.
I mean, so like if she gained, I don't think she's the type that would gain weight, but if she did, that wouldn't lose any. You wouldn't lose any attraction to her, would you?
I don't think so. I think about this a lot. Especially when I like fight with a partner, I'm like, am I only with this person because I think they're really pretty? But like, I've been with so many different people of like so many different body types and everything, and I don't think I would ever suffer through like a horrible relationship because somebody is just pretty. And there have been like girls that are way prettier than what I should ever be with that I've blown off because of annoying shit before too. So I don't think it's just like, oh, she's really pretty, so I give her a slide on all these things. Now everybody has their limits, of course, right? Like if she stopped showering or if she became like 400 pounds or whatever, that's probably not going to work, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Now, do you like a lot of guys, and this is what I hear on YouTube, but I don't see it in real life. So this is the reason why I'm asking you. A lot of guys are like, nice guys finish last. Don't nobody want a nice guy. and all these girls want a bad guy. They want a guy that's going to like talk down on them. I know you're familiar with this genre called the red pill, the manosphere, and the hatred they have for women is just mind blowing. But they always tell guys like, no, don't ever be a nice guy. Nobody respects a nice guy. Now there's a difference between I'm sorry, I'm on Twitch. There's a difference between the S word kind of guy.
You can say simp. You're fine.
Okay,
You don't
okay.
gotta
So
commit
there's a difference between a simp and a nice guy, all right? And if you want to describe the two, that's fine. But I don't think women want simps. They don't have a problem with nice men. But there's this mentality that women only want bad guys that's going to disrespect them, that's going to go around and cheat on them constantly in their face, that's going to talk down upon them, maybe even emotionally and physically abuse them. What is your opinion on that? Do you think, and from your observation, do women really want these type of men?
Yeah, so I feel like I learned this so early in life. I don't know how this eludes so many people. So I think that sometimes when you're talking to a girl, you desperately want that person to like you. The way that you think that you do that is by reflecting every single opinion that they have back at them. And I remember as a teenager watching interactions like this, and I guess it still happens like even in my 20s. So, like, oh, what movies do you like? Oh my God, I really like, these. Oh my God, that's my favorite movie too. What kind of music do you like? Oh, I like this. Oh my God, that's my favorite band too. Like, you get this thing where the girl is like, it basically feels like you're talking to a guy that's like so desperate for your attention or so desperate to agree.
Right.
Yeah. And then so one thing that I noticed early on in life is that, at least for me, so you're correct in identifying that like I have a certain personality type and I can be hard to get along with. But I noticed that, like, usually a lot of girls that I talk to enjoy like a good ribbing, right?
Yeah.
Like if you like make fun of them or something, like, no, not like, oh, you're a fat bitch, right? Not something crazy like that.
Right.
But like if somebody says like there were a lot of times early on, like in college and right after, where if I'm like kind of flirty or talking with somebody, they'll say like, oh, like I really like this band. And I'm like, oh, really? Holy shit, I think that band is fucking horrible. And when you say something like that, the person will like, what? And you kind of like fight around a little bit with it. But it's like, it's a funny thing. And you can have like these interactions with people where, because it's a more entertaining back and forth where it feels like both people are more plugged into the conversation. And especially if you can get somebody to argue about something they like, it leaves a good impression in their mind. But I think that outside observers will see that. And they take the wrong idea or impression from it sometimes. Like they'll look at it and be like, that guy just tweeted that queen like shit. All he's doing is making fun of the things that she loves. And he's a horrible, evil piece of shit. And when I talked to her, I told her that I loved every single thing that she loved. And I think that girls just want to be with abusive, horrible fucking men. And that's what they walk away with. Is that idea.
All right. Yeah. So they don't see. Actually, it is fun. I enjoy it. I just don't want a yes man. But the thing about it is that everybody I deal with, except for a couple of females, they give it, we call it shit talking. So it's like we shit talk each other, not all the time, but most of the time, you know what I'm saying? And it's when you do it, it's funny as hell. Cause like last night I was like, okay, do this, hit this. And he was like, yes, queen. I knew you was doing it sarcastically. And I was like, and I didn't have time to deal with it. A lot of times you say snarky things and it's like, I'm so busy. I'm like, I just laugh and I just keep it moving. I mean, that is entertaining. I think that's the reason why, I guess that's the reason why people don't understand, because they're not in the joke. If it is a joke, like it's not a joke, but they're not into it.
Yeah, it's really hard to walk that line well. And to be super clear for people that watch me, I'm way too far over on the other side of that line 99% of the time. So I very few people can interact with me for a long time. But like if I'm genuinely trying to flirt with somebody, or I'm genuinely trying, like if I'm on a first date with somebody, I'm never like going as hard as I am on stream. Like we don't sit down and I like turn it up to like 100 and it's like, how can I tear this person down? Right. Like it's usually like way more lighthearted stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Now, hypergamy. I'm seeing a lot of, and like I said, you're on Twitch, so I'm on YouTube. So I see some things totally different. And I see a lot of men are angry about hypergamy. Now, I guess if it's used in a malicious way, sure. Saying let me give you an example of what I mean by malicious way. So a girl is with a guy and she's been with him while he went to college and he's graduated. And so now he's on an apprenticeship and she end up, getting with the boss. Okay, that's using it in a toxic way. Do you agree on that level, or do you agree with that?
Um, I'm not sure if I would say that hypergamy, but like, yeah, like sleeping with your boss to get ahead or whatever is probably,
Well,
yeah.
because his boss, okay, yeah, let me explain it more in detail. He's starting at his apprentice level, so he's not really getting paid if he's getting paid at all, okay? And so the boss is the one who owns the company. He actually has the money, he has the clout, he has the status, he has the company. So therefore, instead of her being with the guy that she's like been dating all throughout college, knowing that, hey, we're going to start off a little challenging financially, but in the end, it's going to pay off. She just, I guess they call it monkey branching from him to that. That's what they call, I didn't call it that. They called it that. That's what it,
I've heard similar terms of like upgrading, or there's other things that I've heard where,
yeah.
it happens. It does.
So
yeah.
upgraded. So I guess
It happens in that this is very, I'm not going to name names obviously, but it's very funny because in the streamer world it happens where two people are dating and then one person gets way more popular as a streamer and then they'll break up and then the other person will quote unquote upgrade her. Like this shit happens in the entertainment world and everything. Yeah, in streamer world, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So that's the toxic way of using it. So I would say that when the healthy way of doing it is when a woman basically is in a position where she has options, and therefore she's like, okay, I'm ready to have a family, I'm ready to have babies, I'm ready to do that now and not have to wait. So therefore she goes with her best choice. Some men judge women for that, and that's why it's like I don't see a problem with that form of hypergamy. What is your opinion in reference to hypergamy, period, or in those two scenarios?
So I think hypergamy comes from what we value people for in relationships generally. And people, for some reason, only ever look at one side of hypergamy. And people will say hypergamy exists because women will only ever date up.
Right.
And yeah,
that's
and
what
so
they say, yeah.
Yeah, and men will correctly identify that women tend to date upwards in terms of like class or income. That is true. However, hypergamy exists on the male end as well, but we as men generally don't value things like class or income or career. We value looks.
Right.
So men are
That's a good
hypergamic when it
point.
comes to dating for appearance, right? That's why you often see like older men with younger women, and it's not usually the other way around, right? And you'll see like you talk about like monkey branching and stuff like, oh my God, like a woman, she was dating this one guy, she met his more successful friend, now she dumped the guy, now she's dating the more successful guy. Sure. But then there's also the flip side of like guy was dating a woman, got a really good job, got really successful. Now he dumped that bitch and he's dating somebody 10 years younger, right? That shit happens as well on the other end too. If you're playing that game of in society, broadly speaking, we value women for their childlike qualities, for them being young, fertile, caretakers. And then if you look at the other end and you're looking at women that value men as being, providers, protectors, caretakers, in terms of like household, like earning money and career and everything.
Yeah.
If that's the game that you're playing, well, if somebody outcompetes you, then you just kind of have to accept that that's how it's going to go, right? Because it could happen on the other side as well, right? If you've only netted a woman because you are successful and have a career, and that's like the big thing that she's drawn to, well, of course, if she finds somebody that is going to outcompete you, she's probably going to leave you. But it's probably the same thing as well, where if you date a certain woman, you just like her because she's young and she looks good, and you start making a fuck ton more money, and your options expand, well, you're probably going to dump her and find somebody younger and fresher looking or whatever as well. So I mean, it depends on if you're going to play that game and approach relationships that way, which is fine, you have every right to do so, but you can't really hate the game if you fuck up and somebody else, outperforms you, right? That's just something you have to accept. That's why I think that like looking at relationships through that lens and trying to get people like, I like her because she's young and pretty. Okay, well, like you're setting yourself up to get fucked in the future if somebody else, outplays you at this particular game. And
in that same scenario, right, if she's young and pretty and he's like, say for instance, he's 50 years old and she's like 19 or 20, who's to say when she gets like 24, she doesn't dump him for somebody else?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Younger and more successful, or, or worst case scenario, older and more successful. It doesn't matter. The thing about it is that I think you could say this is superficial. If you go to the superficial route, then what?
I don't like to say superficial because I like if you really just want somebody that's like young and fuckable and you can make a family with them, I mean, fucking go for it. That's on you.
Well, I guess I'm going the female route. Like, what about your feelings? What about if you love? See, here's the deal, Stephen. When we all grow older, and looks fade, but the personality, if you're just going for someone for the external, for what they look like on the outside and not what they are on the inside, when they get old, like, do you really want to deal with that person's characteristics and their personality if it's something that you're just, because here's the deal, if you don't get along with them, because let's be honest here, when a woman is young and hot, she can have like a doo-doo attitude, right? And you'll be like, she's such a bitch, but oh my God, them titties though. You know what I'm saying? And so therefore you will put up with her bullshit because of her physical beauty, you know, but when she gets older, all right, and like say for instance, you guys get married and she gets older and the looks start to fade, but the personality is still there.
I mean, that's your decision. Some people value, early life more than later life. Some people value different things and they learn how the hard way later on that maybe they should have had a different approach or perspective. But I mean, I try not to pass judgments in terms of like, what do you prefer? If someone's like, I just want a girl that's fucking young and hot and that's what I want. It's like, okay, well, fuck it, I guess, go for it. I mean, like, I personally think you're going to miss out on a lot of aspects of a relationship. And obviously you're going to have a lot of problems in the middle and later part of your life. And there's no guarantee that particular woman is going to stay with you for very long. But I mean, hey, people want to go for it. I mean, that's on them.
All right.
The only thing I caution, or the only thing that I will aggressively fight back on, is if you enter that world and then you get burned out because somebody played it better than you, then don't come out and turn into this like woman hating, like red pill, big towel motherfucker or whatever. Because like you were playing the same fucking game. You're just obsessively looking at how women are shallow because they only want to date guys that are rich and blah, 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 ignoring the fact that the types of women that only want to date guys that are rich, wealthy, successful are dating guys that only want to date women that are young, fuckable, and will have a family, right? So, I mean, like, there's a whole bunch of shallow, stupid shit on both ends, right? Sometimes when you get into those red pill communities, they act like, like the average femoid is like some walking, bimbo reproduction slut. And then like the average male is like Aristotle, like, in a library studying, poring over his volumes of books and enriching his life and going to the gym. It's like, come on, dude, you be honest with both sides of this. Like, Jesus. Women act a certain way in society for sure, but it's because men oftentimes want it. Like, it's so funny because you walk around people that are just walking contradictions of desires, and they wonder how everybody's so mindfucked. Like this fucking girl, she won't fucking put out, like, oh my God, like she won't fuck me by the third date. It's such a waste of time. I hate this fucking bitch. And then like, 2 years later, it's like, I'm trying to find a woman to fuck, but every fucking woman that I talk to has already fucked like 3 guys, and that's disgusting. I don't want to be in a vagina that's had more than 3 dicks. And it's like, what the fuck do you want? Yeah, it's so stupid.
Yeah, I actually call the red pill community out for their hypocrisy, because they sit up here and say, oh, hey, don't have sex with a single mother, but then they sit up here and complain about using condoms, and they have sex with a woman, trying to, like, I've actually seen videos of it. I can actually see it to you. It's really grotesque, where they're talking about like you could how to talk women out of not using condoms. So like they're
stealthing and shit.
Yeah, they're making single mothers, and then here it is. They want to talk about a woman's body count, like, yo, what's her body count? But they want to add to her body count. So it's like all this contradiction. And first of all, let's be clear. These guys, like, I don't see them being chads or anybody like busting down their doors, like trying to throw the pussy at them and stuff like that. It's like, please, you're fooling yourself, whatever. So going on to, I want to talk about something in reference to women. I'm trying to get, I know you see this with men, but a lot of women, and especially the ones I've been dealing with, are having problems going around men, approaching men, letting men know that they're interested. And so I guess I did a couple of scripted videos and telling them how to basically attract men and to go around men and to flirt with men and not just expect all the men to come to them. And so as a man, I just wanted to see if I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. Well, this is one of the questions that I was interested in, ask a male point of view, is how to get a man to linger. Like, once they have initiated that communication, once they have established that rapport, he got the number, they went on a couple of dates or whatever. What do you think? What are the non-sexual things that a woman can do to have that man stay on her, like she to stay on his mind when she's not there?
I I can answer this really well from the male to female side, but I don't date men, so I can only speak in things that are general. I'm trying to be very general here, basically.
Okay.
So I think as a woman, this probably applies to men too, but as a woman, it's probably really, really, really important to figure out what is the guy after. Because like if you meet somebody on Tinder and they're fucking you after the first date, and you guys were sexting after like 5 sentences to each other, and then he doesn't really talk too much afterwards, this guy is probably not. If you're trying to move into,
Yeah.
This is like a general thing. I get really scared repeating some of this stuff because I feel like I figured this out when I was like 18, 19, and most of the opinions that I had back then were really dumb, at least politically. Well, in my opinion, but it feels like a lot of like the kind of life relationship stuff I'd pieced together early on. So if I ever get contradicted on this, I welcome like updating my worldview. But this is something that I've firmly believed in for over a decade. I think that men and women view sex and friendship in fundamentally different ways. So in my opinion, I think a guy has one ranking system that every single female friend he has goes on, and it is like the fuck ladder. Like, this is like the most fuckable person all the way down to the least fuckable person. And a guy will fuck any woman friend he has.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might take alcohol to get way down at the bottom part of that ladder, but he will do it. Okay. Whereas it feels like women have two separate buckets where, and it's very, the sorting happens like almost immediately. I don't know why, but a woman will see a guy, you're like, I'll fuck that dude. And then a woman also has like a bucket for like, these are like, like friendship people.
Yeah.
And that separation will happen. And I think that sometimes guys talk about like the friend zone or whatever. I think what happens is because men and women view, I think, relationships like differently like this. I think what happens is a lot of the problems that we have end up with us trying to view the other person how we view other people. Let me be more clear. So a guy has one ranking system for all the women in his life. If he's friends with a woman and she views relationships like he does, it should be the case that if you get closer and closer and closer to this woman, eventually she's going to want to fuck you / date you. That has to happen.
Right.
Because in a guy's mind, that's exactly how it would work. If you get closer, right? Whereas in the woman's mind, these are two very clearly separate buckets, right? So this is like where the friend zone comes in for guys, I think, right? You get friend zone because you don't realize that you're in the friend bucket and not the relationship or fuck buddy bucket. But I think for women, so circling back to the question, I think for women, I think you can get stuck in something called the fuck zone, where when you look at guys, you think that, okay, well, he has two separate buckets. One is for like friends and one is for like fuck buddy / relationships. He's fucking me. So if I continue to get closer and closer, closer, we're going to be dating. It has to, because in a woman's mind, I think generally that's how it works, right? If a woman is fucking a guy and they get closer and closer, in my opinion, most of the people that women fuck, they would consider dating or would be willing to date immediately. For guys, that is not the case. So women think that guys feel the same way. So if a woman is close to a guy and they're having sex, you're like, okay, we'll get closer and closer and eventually we'll be dating. And then you get stuck in the fuck zone where you're never going to actually be friends or whatever. So I think that figuring that kind of stuff out early on is really, really, really important in terms of like, how do you keep yourself in a guy's mind to circle all the way back to that? Yeah.
That was a freaking slam dunk answer. I loved it. Wow.
One more quick thing that I can add to that too.
Yeah.
I think it's really cringy. 99% of the relationship quizzes and love and all that blah blah blah. There is one really old book. I think it's pretty old that's come out. It's called like the 5 Languages of Love. I think that is a really good approach. Maybe this is more like towards relationships and not like when you're first getting to know somebody, but I think that's a really good approach to figuring out like what does it for certain people, because some people are very much into certain things and very much not into other things. So like for me, like I fucking hate compliments. I don't give a fuck. If you can give me as many compliments you want, and it's just annoying to me because now I feel like I have to give it, and it's just, I hate it. But if you do like little like acts of service, I think is one of the languages. Like if you get me like a hot chocolate, or if you like get me like a particular thing, that actually means so much to me, right? And learning those little things about another person helps too. But that's more like once you're in a relationship, not like just as you're starting to flirt, I guess. So yeah.
A follow-up question to that. Now, we know that the way that a woman can prevent being in a sex bucket is just basically not engage into sex early on, right? And what? Because this is what I tell women. Like, listen, now this is just for traditional women. Modern women can do their own thing. If a woman is looking for marriage, then she needs to make sure she marries her best friend. So a guy can't fake a best friend. So if he is not your best friend first, keep your legs closed. All right. Now, if you're modern and you want to get your freak on, whatever, do you, boo. All right. But that's my thing is that if you are dating a guy and he's courting you, hey, say, listen, I'm interested in something serious, because for some reason there's a lot of women who get emotionally attached to men that she has sex with. It's not with all women, but there's a lot of women that do that. What is your response to that?
So I think that if you had found the one that you were going to marry and you end up fucking him on the first date or second date or whatever, I don't think that ruins that.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, okay. I disagree with that. But if you hold off on sex until 2 or 3 or 4 dates or whatever, you will probably weed out a lot of the men that you would have wasted your time with anyway. I do agree with that. So like if there's like 10 men that you would date and 2 of them would be like long term, like I could marry these 2 guys.
Yeah.
If you don't fuck on like the first, second, or third date or whatever, then you'll probably weed out like 6 or 7 of the 8 like worthless men. But I think if you would have fucked like the 2 like marryable men on the first or second date, I think it probably would still work out. But you don't think so?
No.
Why not? I'm curious.
Because men, in my opinion, and from what I've observed, because I can't say I've done this personally, and like if like in college and in the past, if I had sex, I guess if I had sex with a guy, early on, it was because I was like, look, I'm just trying to get off, and I never took it to a relationship level. If I was like when I'm vetting a guy, and like I'm like, okay, this guy seems like someone I want to have a long-term relationship. No, I wait because I don't want my judgment to be clouded off of the sex. So that's the reason why I'm like meeting on the second time and having sex with somebody I'm serious about. That's never going to happen. But that's just, I think that because I'm coming from a traditional point of view. Now, that's the only reason, because like I said, women, and you know this, women tend to get a little possessive. They tend to get a little crazy when they share their bodies with you. Okay. Even if you let them know, Steven, you're like, hey, this is what I am, this is what I do, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You need to know what it is, what you're getting into. And they go, I get it. And then, they open their legs to you anyway. And then next thing you know, they just get to the point where they're possessive of you, knowing ahead of time it is what it is. And so I think it's because some women just can't handle it. They should keep their legs closed for a while, until they get an understanding of their emotions for this other man. And when it comes to the guys, it's easy for a guy, but it's also easy for alpha women. That's why I say I can't put myself in most women's shoes. I'm different. I'm a little dominant. So I have that mentality like a man. I don't necessarily fall in love with men that, I have sex with. But that's not the norm for most women.
Yeah, I think I don't really want to agree with you, but I think what you're saying is pretty true. I think that it's really important that so here's just like a piece of advice, life advice, being the age-old 32-year-old here. You do not know how you will emotionally respond to something until you experience it. And if you think otherwise, you're lying to yourself. Now, the problem with advice like that is that nobody that's young will ever believe it. If I could go back, I've said this before, if I could go back in time and talk to myself and I knew that it was me from the future, if I was 18 and I saw myself step through a fucking time machine, and that was 32-year-old Steven Manel, and I'm 18-year-old Steven Manel, I'm like, oh my God, this is me from the future. And I started giving myself all sorts of advice. As soon as he stepped back in that time machine, I think, what a fucking sellout loser. I'm not going to turn out like that moron, all right? I got shit way more figured out than he does. I don't know what happened to that guy. That's exactly what I would think. But so knowing that you'll ignore my advice, all I would say is that, like, a word of caution. A lot of people think they can handle things or think they can do things, and then when they try it, your emotions will just go in another way. And no matter how ice cold you think you are, or no matter how badass you think you are, or whatever, you're gonna meet some person, and they're gonna say that it's just casual and school, and you're gonna fuck them, and you're gonna fall hard for them, and you're gonna think that maybe they will too, and you're gonna find out they're fucking other people, and it's not gonna work, and you're gonna go crazy, and shit like this happens a lot. And it's not a bad thing, it's part of the.
It is what it is,
you
know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's
yeah,
what I mean,
it's part of your discovering yourself and everything. But like, there are a lot of people that try to get involved in certain casual things. It seems like this does happen to guys too, though. But again, I don't have as much experience with men doing this as women, obviously, because I mainly date and fuck women.
Oh, it
But
does happen to guys. Yeah.
yeah,
Trust
where
me.
guys will think they can do a casual thing as well, but then they end up getting hyper possessive
Yep.
and crazy about it too. Yeah. And then the shitty thing from the female side is that if you're dealing with a crazy male, he'll fucking kill you.
Right.
Whereas if you're a male dealing with a crazy
Stalk you,
woman,
leave
yeah, maybe
dead animals on your front porch. You like,
Yeah.
you know, what I'm saying stuff like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So just be aware of like when sex and emotions and that shit gets involved. So here's something I think I might have said this on stream before. I don't know if I've said this publicly before or not. I think I have, but I consider myself to be one of the coldest and most emotionally detached people that I know of anybody. It's just the way that I am.
Yeah.
Even saying that though, if I meet a new girl, I know I can get swept up in dumb shit for 2 weeks. Like I have like a personal rule where when I meet like new girls, I will not like fuck or make any moves on them like in the first 2 weeks because I'm going to fuck my own mind up. And there have been a few times that I've broken that rule and I have gotten mind fucked for so long. And if you look at me and you see me as like the debater, you know, stoic person about, even I will get mind fucked on stupid shit like this where you get like way too obsessed or into somebody because you didn't like chill for a sec. So just heed my word of advice that just be careful.
Yeah. Okay. Now, self-esteem. I know I asked you in reference to answering this for women. I also want you to throw in there for some men too. I have seen, maybe because like online, you are exposed to way more people than in person. So in my real time, my circle does not consist of anyone with low self-esteem. The people I even interact with closely online don't have low self-esteem. But for the masses, men and women have low self-esteem. I don't know necessarily what is the root cause of this, but and I don't know if it's because, and that prevents them from taking chances, from approaching the opposite sex or the same sex. This depends. You know, it basically hinders them from moving forward for better things, and because of fear. What are your suggestions for men and women building up their low self-esteem, building their self-esteem?
This is something I've also felt for probably 15 years. I think that having like high self-esteem or high self-confidence is the single most important quality that a person can have, because literally every other personality trait and every other thing you do in life is going to have that as the foundation. So unfortunately, that being said, I don't know what you do with somebody that's like past, 18, 19 years old that has really, really bad self-esteem. That seems like one of those characteristics that when that gets like lodged in there, by the time you're in your mid-late teens, I don't know anybody that's ever changed that. That sounds really horrible to say. And I don't mean that, like, there's got to be a way to change it. But yeah, I don't know people, like, even if I think back to like my sophomore, junior year in high school, I don't know people that had like massive self-esteem issues that were like very, like depressed and blah, blah, blah all the time. And had all these like confidence, issues that like when they were like in their mid to late 20s are like, oh my God, like I feel so much better. I'm so confident. I'm so like, it seems like that stuff will stay with people for so long.
Is there no hope for them though?
Well, there must be. I mean, like every now and then, like I read stories, like people can find like certain things. Like I think some people will find avenues to confidence through like the gym. So like taking care of your body and doing that is probably like a big thing.
Yes.
Sometimes people will have like really big life events that will turn them around. So maybe their parents die and they get more responsible, or maybe, like they have a child and all of a sudden somehow they like actually get into shape and they start doing things. So sometimes like big events can happen, but the only other way to get there, if I had to guess, is it's going to be like a very slow churn and burn that is going to require like a deliberate mindset every day to get there. And you're fighting against everything in society to do it. Because I don't think that society really wants like super high self-esteem, high confidence people.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that those people plug into society in the way that we want them to right now.
Okay, very good. So with to make a segue from self-esteem to someone, especially with women, you see a person, they see red flags in this guy and they ignore it. This has been something I've been wrestling with a lot of my females subscribers. oh, they'll tell me about the guy. Well, he did this and he did that. And I'm like, well, wasn't that how he was in the beginning? Well, I thought when I showed him
yeah.
I can cook for him and that I am good for him and I'm understanding that he was stopped. And I'm like, you stop trying to fix men. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is so frustrating to me. What do you think? How can women avoid or take the courage to not engage with men or avoid men, or I don't know, just leave men that show the obvious red flags that are not compatible with her?
Okay, so here's two huge pieces of stuff. I'll fight to the death for these. So number one, when you first meet somebody, you're not meeting them. You're meeting their representative. Yeah. Is this a Chris Rock skit?
Yeah, Chris Rock said that.
Okay,
very good.
Thank you for knowing that. Oh my God, I feel like I heard this like 20 years ago.
Rock
I never
said that. Yeah.
Yes. Not meeting that person. You're meeting their fucking representative.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not. Okay. So that's number one. The second piece of advice that goes along with that, and a lot of people get mad when I say this: you are not dating somebody until you are living with them. Whatever you have before, and a lot
true.
Yeah, a lot of traditional people get mad at that. But if you're
no,
not living with the person,
I'm traditional, and I actually agree with you on that one.
You guys are your friends, and maybe you hook up, and maybe you tell each other you love each other, and that's really cute. But if you're not with that person and forced to be with that person on your worst fucking days, and seeing that person that is forced to be with you on their worst fucking days, you don't know what the fuck that person is like. Because when you are truly married or a long-term relationship and you're living together, you don't have the option of just not seeing them for 2 weeks while they're doing whatever crazy shit. Yeah. So, I mean, like, and then also, it's so weird, but like, you talk about like red flags, like people now, even though when you meet somebody originally, they're trying to put their best impression on, like nobody can keep up a fake act for weeks and weeks and weeks, unless you've got like some Ted Bundy, some crazy sociopathic serial killer, right?
Yes.
People will start to show you who they are very quickly and pay attention to it. There's like this, we do this weird thing where we fill in the blanks for people so much because we see some things that we like, and those are the only things we want to focus on, and everything else hopefully fades away.
Yeah.
But once you're like, I mean, like if you're like 12 or 13 and you've got like a crush in middle school, sure, you know, people will change through time. But if you're fucking 25, okay, and you meet somebody, you're not going to fucking change this person significantly. Now, is the person like a little bit messy at home? Like, and you can get them to clean up a little bit more, sure.
Yeah.
But if the person is like shitting all over their fucking toilet or something, right? It's time to just leave, okay? This is not like, you laugh, but like I will read threads and I will talk to women, and I know women in my life. I know beautiful women, okay? These are the types of women that people will post about like dreaming to be able to be with or be with fuck. And when I talk to them about some of the guys that they're with, where they will say these just and these bizarre things about these guys that are just disgusting. I'm like, why the fuck are you so? It's like, well, maybe if I could get him to clean up, blah, blah. And it's like, if you've got to tell this guy, you know, that it's like not okay to leave food, you know, like sitting out in the kitchen for 2 fucking months, like this is gone. What are you doing, right? And people will run into all these red flags like 1 month into a relationship.
Yeah.
Okay? Here's another thing, okay? And I hate to generalize because this isn't always going to be true, okay? But if you're having huge fights or running into major problems, like, and you're dating for like 1 or 2 months, it's fucking leave. Pack up and leave, because that shit is only going to get fucking harder because you're still coming off the honeymoon phase at like 4 to 6 weeks in a relationship. Like, there's no fucking way. Like, I'll see people on Reddit will go on our relationships and they'll be like, oh, so me and my boyfriend got in this huge fucking fight and he called me this stupid bimbo slut and he said he hates my mom, but I think he's okay, blah, 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 blah.
What?
Can I have some advice on this? By the way, we've been dating for 3 weeks. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why? Just leave. Yeah. People, if you see red flags like super early on, you can do better. Just fucking leave. Don't think you can change somebody like that. You can't. You cannot do it. I don't know why people think they can.
Agreed. Another excellent answer. You've been knocking them out of the park today, Stephen. I'm very proud of you.
I've been around the block for
Yes, you have, you hoe. That's why I like you so much. Anyway, let's see. Emotional baggage. Should a woman bring emotional baggage to a relationship, or should she deal with it and get rid of it prior to the relationship, or should a guy accept a woman with a lot of just emotional baggage, period, and help her work with it? What say you?
So I'm going to quote your good friend Jordan Peterson here.
What?
So there's a concept that he talks about called integrating your shadow. there's two ways, basically, in my opinion, that like bad experiences can affect you. Either one, well, there's three ways. Either one, it affects you and you become traumatized by something. And then like every time in the future you see a particular thing, it triggers you, it like actually triggers you, and you just have a bad emotional reaction and you can't deal with it. The second way is you quote unquote deal with it by hating everything associated with it. So maybe you have a bad experience with like a white guy or Mexican guy or black guy, and you're like, I'm never dating any one of those types of people again. Fuck that shit. I had a bad experience, right? And then that's your way of like, when we're dealing with it. And then the third way, the way that we're supposed to deal with things is if you have a negative experience, okay, you have to understand those feelings. Why do you feel this way? You know, you have to look at what happened. Why did it happen? And then do you want that to happen? Usually not. And then what do you want to happen? And then what can you change going forward, right? So I dated a guy. He cheated on me. Obviously, I didn't like that, you know. Early on when we first started dating, he was very flirty with other girls. Even when I told him it was uncomfortable, he seemed to not give a fuck, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay. So, you know, what happened? Maybe I should have stronger boundaries with guys.
Right.
And if they violate those boundaries, then I'll, you know, put down an ultimatum. And if they don't like it, I'll leave.
Right.
And if you can like integrate those negative experiences in a way that strengthens yourself and your own understanding of relationships, that's like the only positive way to move forward. You can't go into, so you use that cheating example. So there are like three ways you can go into the relationship, using all three examples again, right? So the first way, you start dating a new guy and you see that the guy has like a female coworker or woman coworker that he's friendly with, and you find out and you call him a lying, cheating whore, and you just dump him immediately. No talking to girls. Fuck you. I'm not dealing with that shit again, right? That's like, so that's the person that's like traumatized.
Yeah.
And they have, right? And then the second thing, you know, maybe you talk to the guy, or so you start dating a guy. Fuck. The first one was you have like a really, really, really negative reaction to it. The second one is you have a oh god, fuck. What was the second one? Do you remember what I gave?
The second one was, hey, he cheated, and they go like, actually, you used the second one for the first one, Steven, because you was like, oh no, sorry, I fuck all white guys, fuck all black guys, fuck, that's what you said.
Oh yeah, so okay, so
That's what you said,
shit, you're right. I'm sorry. So the first example, I do the same one. So the first example would basically be like, I'm not going to date any guys with any women friends. That's the first one. Yeah. Unironically, I know women that do this. Usually it's older, but yeah. So one is like, I'm not going to date any guys. So the second one is you find out that he's been like talking to a female friend, and you're like, fuck you, I know you're cheating, I know you're lying, and then you dump him or whatever immediately because you're right. And then the third, the healthy example would be like, hey, like you have like certain women friends, like if you're going to talk to them, like just don't be like overly flirty or any shit like that. Yeah. And I guess like depending on like what level of trust or verification, like maybe like, oh, it'd be cool if I could just meet this friend so that we're friends or whatever, or something like that. Like that would be like a healthier way to kind of like move forward with it, rather than having like either the immediate write-off reaction or the immediate negative reaction. So circling all the way back to the question, I don't think you should ever bring quote unquote emotional baggage with you, because emotional baggage implies that you have some prior trauma or problem that you never resolved, and you're probably not going to resolve in your new relationship. You're just going to constantly take that out on your partner, which is just going to fuck everything up, I think. Okay. All right. And then name 3 characteristics or personalities that men prefer in most women. I know you hate generalizing, but I had to put that in there because a lot of women want to know, what do men want? What do they prefer? What do they like? And we're going to get to the, by the way, guys, we're going to get to the men part 2. It's right after this one, but what is your answer? I'm gonna ask it again. Name 3 types of personalities and characteristics that men prefer in most women. Well, I mean, like, I think that, I think that, so you're asking me to speak in generalities. I think generally men, it seems like they just favor like very like beautiful, young, like sexually active, just with them women, right? It seems to be like that. That's not a characteristic. Well, I mean, no offense, but for some people, yeah, being pretty is like their whole personality. I mean, it can be. I mean, like, true! So, I mean, like, it depends on what you mean by that, right? I stand corrected. Okay. All right. That's one, I guess. What's the, give me 2 more. Well, beautiful, young, and sexual. That's 3 different ones. I cheater. Well, they're distinctly separate things, right? How about like, yeah, sure. I think that's generally what a lot of people are after. I mean, like, in terms of like 3 personality characteristics that people should hopefully want. I mean, like, I would hope is that like 1 is that you have somebody that is like relatively like understanding or patient. So like they'll, work with you to understand if you are a certain way, you do a certain thing. This is important for me because I'm an incredibly difficult person to get along with. The second thing is these are all like really boring because they're so obvious. The second thing is like you need somebody that is like good at communication. You are going to fight with whoever you date. It is going to happen. You cannot avoid it. Anybody that says otherwise is either lying or they've had part of their brain removed. So they have to be able to like resolve conflicts, and that only happens by them being capable of communicating. And you have to understand each other's communication styles as well for this. So like a big problem that I have is I am the type of person that if I get really upset about something, I need 6 hours to cool off, or it's going to be a really bad
Yeah,
conversation.
because you don't want to. I'm the same way. You don't want to say something out of anger, so you need that cool down time and everything, so that you can basically get your thoughts together, get your arguments together, also self-evaluate your emotions better, and then come to it with a level and cooler head. So yeah,
exactly.
I agree. Yeah,
but I've dated for whatever fucking reason. The women that I tend to date usually need things resolved immediately. So a lot of the fights that I'll get into will be they need the resolution now and I don't. So they're ready to talk about it now. And then I'm just like, you're being a fucking retarded bitch. I blah, blah, blah. I'll just be like really upset. And
you
I know
don't
I'm being
say that to them, do you?
I'm just really upset. Okay. Okay. I usually don't say retarded. I usually say autistic,
You are
okay?
not supposed.
I know you're not supposed
Just
to, but
walk
listen,
away, Steven. You
No,
don't
yeah,
just-
I agree. I agree with you. But for some reason, some people are like, I can't do that. I don't have the option of walking away because they have to resolve it now. But sometimes they will let me resolve it later. But then what happens there is we'll go to quote unquote resolve it later. In 6 to 8 hours, I'll be cool.
Yeah.
I'll be like, listen, I was being a dipshit earlier. I was dumb about this or whatever. But the other person will be like a wreck. They'll be like, dude, I didn't know for 8 hours you were going to dump me at the end of it. And I'm so stressed out and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, I'm like over this. Like, I don't even know what the fuck we were fighting about. I don't care anymore. You know, like I'm sorry. Whatever I did was dumber. Right. So yeah, like having like the ability to understand each other's like conflict resolution is like really important, which is part of like communication. And then I think that like sex is a really, really, really important, important characteristic that you have to like match on. You can't be completely sexually incompatible. Like it's not going to work there unless you're in an open relationship or something. I guess they can get it from somewhere else. So, yeah.
Okay. And last question for the women, and we're going to get to the guys. Do you think women are currently in a better position to find suitable mates or in a worse position today to find a suitable boyfriend, mate, or husband?
I think that everybody is in a suitable place to find people as long as they know where to go and they know what they're looking for. Just depends on like what we're looking for or what we value or yeah.
Okay. And let's see, getting to the guys. Can you express why men should not worry about the alpha beta label and explain why because you don't really, I'm not assuming that you really don't believe in the alpha beta thing, right?
I mean, like there are like aspects to it that can be kind of true, but no, I don't believe in like the strict, like this is an alpha male. 99% of the time when I hear somebody say that, I can immediately write off most of what they say because they're about to say some cringy, stupid shit. Yeah.
So you have a lot of guys that are like worried about being beta because they think being, who cater to this. And I think this is a little bad for them, toxic for them because it brings down their self-esteem. So that's why I'm asking, like, why they should not worry about the whole alpha beta label, and why they should just basically work on themselves and improving themselves, regardless of trying to appear alpha.
Yeah, like I think that like so if we are going to entertain the vernacular of alpha beta, I think that these are things that have to come as a byproduct of who you are. They can't be like a destination or like a goal.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't be like, okay, I'm going to become alpha, so here's what I'm going to do. It's more just like, I'm going to, start going to the gym or take care of my appearance or, work harder at my job or career or school or whatever. And then like, as a result, hopefully you foster some sense of confidence and then people are attracted to that. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm kind of like alpha now, right? That's like a byproduct of what you are. It's not some like destination. Like I'm on my way to being fucking alpha or whatever, some crazy shit like that.
Right. Now, what are we talked about red flags and men that women should avoid. What are in your opinion, when men see, and I think I think both genders are, both in men and women, they both are guilty of this, where they see something in the mate and they'll just like forget about it. Like I said, with the men, I said this earlier, a woman with men, they'll see a woman who's beautiful, she's gorgeous, she has a wonderful body, but she's rude, she's degrading, she's manipulative, she's unhinged, and they overlook that. So because they still looking at her body, and we understand that men are driven physically while women are driven emotionally. So what is your opinion or to men who ignore those red flags, and how they should avoid those red flags, and what to do if they see this in the women that they're currently dating or courting or going out with?
So this is when I have to be careful again, because I think that the preferences can be kind of different sometimes between like things that I would like versus what like average guys seem to look for sometimes. For me personally, I can't, if somebody just looks good but everything else doesn't work, that's just never going to be enough to get me off the ground for anything, probably. That seems to not be the case for a lot of guys, or it seems like they deal with, because there's some women who's like, I have no fucking idea how the fuck anybody likes you, but I mean, I guess you look good. So I guess for a lot of guys, maybe that is enough. I guess the closest equivalent for me, I like people that are fucking crazy, and even if they've got a lot of other problems, like that's really interesting. So maybe that's like my equivalent to that. I would say that for me personally, and I think this is a more common thing that people look out for, is the number one most immediate like turn off horrible fucking shit for me, that I just like, my attraction will go from literally 100 to 0 in like 2 messages. It's when I see somebody that has like massive self-esteem issues and then they take it out on me. So like if I am on Discord and somebody messages me like good night, and I'm busy with something for like an hour or two and I don't respond, and they send another message and they're like, I see you're still online, but I guess you're too busy to talk to me, so bye. If I see some shit like that, yeah, I'm like, I'm never talking to you again, because this is not going to work. People that get like very like,
that's just worse than the text messages. Like, you text someone, right? Or they text you and you're just busy at the moment. And they're like, I text you. I said, hey, are you busy? And I could say, I saw that you read it, but you're not going to respond back to me. And they just freaking go crazy. I don't understand. I think, could it be possible that these people are so used to getting what they want that when you don't bend to their will, they go crazy on you? Or what do you think drives them to do that?
I think there's a lot of things. You know what? Believe it or not, you do believe it. I can't talk to many people about this because everyone in Twitch is fucking 19 years old. Remember back when we were in school? You might go days without talking to your significant other sometimes, because you might not have the time to call them every night or whatever. You probably call them on the weekend at least, or see her. But sometimes you might go days without talking to your significant other. I went to an all-boys high school, so if you were dating a girl at a girl high school, then you're not going to see them. So maybe for other people you see them during class is different. But yeah, like you could go so long without talking to somebody. Yeah. I say so long, like 24, 48 hours or whatever. And I remember it was just during high school when I think flip phones started to come out and the BlackBerries started to, I don't know if anybody had a BlackBerry. I think that was mainly business people, but like the flip phones stuff started to come out.
BlackBerry was for the rich people.
Yeah. Very, very, very quickly, I noticed that this happened within like, it felt like it happened in like 2 to 3 years. Texting started to become like a relationship requirement. What? To where you were, if you see somebody you talk, maybe you call them, and you chat with them for 30 minutes, an hour at night or whatever, depending on how obsessed with each other you were, because it was high school. But very quickly, it got to the point where like cell phones came out and now you were like texting your significant other constantly. And if people weren't responding to text, people were getting in trouble and shit. And yeah, I think that culture of like needing somebody to respond immediately, like that just became like ubiquitous with cell phones and all of that in school. So, yeah, when people start getting like very clingy or desperate for time or attention like that, that's easily the biggest red flag, because that's going to come out in so many other ways. Yeah, I like, and then like just any type of comment like that. I remember there was this sounds so stupid. I remember there was a girl that I stopped talking to because we were texting and trading pictures of her. And she sent me a picture. I was like, oh my God, like your body's almost perfect. And she was like, almost. And we actually.
But nobody's perfect, is it?
Yeah, because I'm not gonna say that. Like, fuck.
Nobody's perfect, though. Why was she?
I thought she was joking. I was like, haha, and she was legitimately upset that I said that. And I was like, this is not gonna work. We're moving on from that. Yeah. So like, yeah, I don't know. When I see like those like little like the huge self-esteem red flags, it's like this is gonna manifest in so many other problems that I can't. Yeah, fuck that. But that's like a me personally thing. Seems like a lot of guys sometimes don't mind the girls that have low self-esteem or obsessive.
Yeah, they don't. They don't, and vice versa. Guys don't mind dating girls with low self-esteem, and girls don't mind dating guys that just don't have any respect for them.
So something that you're talking about, these are two stereotypes that absolutely existed in high school and perpetuate past that into however old people get. There are two types of personality types sometimes. There are more than this, but these are like two archetypes that I see. You have a person that is perpetually kind of depressed and needs somebody to take care of them and guide them and give them help, and they need that. And then you have this other archetype that is like the perpetual caretaker, where the only time they feel important in life is if they have somebody that needs them, that they can guide or whatever. And when these two people hook up together, it is like the most toxic form of magnetic attraction, where you have somebody that's in that perpetual depression cycle. And I'm saying depression in quotation marks, they're not actually clinical. They're just like always sad or mopey or angsty or depressed. And then you've got like their caretaker that feels like they always need that other person to be sad and come to them and, you know, lean on them for support and blah, blah, blah. And it's such a toxic, cancerous back and forth that neither side will ever grow out of, because the other side needs them to constantly feed into it. And like, yeah.
Okay, give me 5 questions all men should ask women to vet for long-term relationships.
Oh, fuck. Was this on the thing? I don't
Yes.
remember. Oh, shit. Sorry. 5 questions all men should ask women they vet for a long-term relationship.
Yes.
Well, so the most important one, if we're talking long-term, is probably children. So that would be one.
Actually, that should be the number one. Do you want children? Yeah.
Yeah, because that could or couldn't be a deal. Well,
Absolutely.
your 5 questions are going to be deal breaker questions, right?
Absolutely.
The second one is
Yeah.
going to be living situation, especially, and this is a really hard one for middle adult or young adult people, is if you're still in school. Are you willing to move when I finish school or when I get a new job or something like that? So that's number 2. That's a really important one. The third one is, I don't know if this is a question so much, but figuring out that sexual compatibility is really, really, really important. And I would say that those are like the 3 most massively important questions to be asked. I think everything else is pretty minor. Oh, fourth one might be finances. Holy fuck, some people are really, 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 really bad with money.
Do you think you should know their FICO score?
Yeah, maybe. I don't care so much about FICO. I care about like how much debt are you carrying and shit. FICO is probably important though.
Well,
but I don't think I'd ever.
I mean, if they,
The thing is, you can have a really good. My uncle died with really good credit, and he owed like $30,000 in credit card debt, but he paid all his bills. So,
smokes.
yeah. And this is a
Okay,
guy
good
that who's
point,
like
yeah.
on paper income was $15,000 a year, so because he worked at a gas station. So yeah, so I know, yeah. So, I'm just saying having a good FICO is enough, but yeah, I mean like the financial part is really, really, really important. Here is like a 5th one. I think I've been lucky enough that I've never met a woman that has done this for me. I wish I would have, because it would be so funny to like storm out. If you have somebody that treats you like shit around friends or family, you should immediately, you don't make a post on Reddit.
Exactly.
You don't ask for advice. You just fucking leave.
Exactly.
I will read these most unbelievable like relationship advice posts, or I'll even hear from friends. And again, these are like pretty people, awesome people that will say things like, oh, like I was at my boyfriend's house, but like his parents hate me. Like every time I go over, like they talk about how lazy I am and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, what does your significant other do? They just fucking sit there and listen to it. Like I could not imagine for a microsecond me having a significant other and my parents shit talking that significant other. I would be gone. I'd be like, well, fuck you guys. Like I'm out. Like I can't imagine if you have a partner that would stand for that, they're not going to stand up for you anywhere else. And like at the end of the day, there's that person should be like your number one advocate. If this is like your life partner, this person should be advocating for you hard and literally advocating for you. If you're like on your deathbed or whatever, they might be the person, you know, signing the DNR or not, right? They might be the person saying like, are we going to bring this motherfucker back from the dead or not? You know, like this is literally your advocate. And if they would even stand up to fucking mom or dad for you, like, fuck, yeah, fuck that shit.
Good point. Okay. Now I'm gonna explain my next question I had given, like how can men improve their observation on women? Let me explain what I'm talking about. I have male friends who have women, and I obviously see how these women are not really into the relationship. You know, it's like I say, hey, your girl got dead women's eyes. It's like she's not looking at you lovingly. She doesn't really you put your arm around her, you lean into her, and she just sits there like that. And, you know, and then when she cheats or when she breaks up or when she just ghosts him, he didn't observe how she was, just like what you said earlier, where, you know, if your mate allows their friends and family to disrespect you, you know what I'm saying, like, to leave, I wonder, like, maybe this is the wrong way I put it, like, how can they improve their observation? Because a lot of times I think guys, here we go. Sometimes guys are oblivious to the obvious signs of women. And it could be right in their face. Now their friends can see it. And if they're like, hey man, your girl, she's a bitch. Oh, you just don't know. You just don't understand, blah, blah. I don't understand. What is your opinion on that? Because I was like, listen, look at this. Look at the way she stands near you. When y'all take a picture, you know what I'm saying? She wants to be away from you. Look at her body language. But then again, I look at people differently than most people. So I see differently, especially being a former police officer. I have, and also growing up in the hood, we had to observe people's body languages. And I think maybe it's unfair of me of expecting other people to do the same. What say you on this?
The problem is that everybody can do this and everybody does do this, but when you're in the middle of it, it's hard to know that it's happening. I wish I could remember. There's a really good quote about something like, you never know when you're in the middle of an eye of a storm or something. I can't remember. There's a quote that has to do this, but like, because any person that you're describing, once they're out of that relationship, will usually look back and be like, oh God, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, I was being an idiot. Like, it was so obvious, blah, 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 blah. And you hear a lot of this from like people in abusive relationships, people that get out of like horrible relationships. Mm-hmm. And, when you get out of it, you could tell, so the question is like, how do you not let yourself become so emotionally compromised in the middle of a relationship?
Right. Yes.
I don't know what the answer to that is. So like, thankfully, personally, I don't have to deal with this much because I'm a little bit more disconnected than most people. However, I do realize that I can make bad decisions when I first meet somebody because I can get swept up in that new girl dumb shit or whatever.
Right.
So like I'll have like this mandatory, like I'm waiting like a couple weeks before I make any big moves or whatever because I don't want to be like an idiot. And that seems to like be helpful for me when I recognize that. So I guess like, I guess if I could give any piece of advice, it would just be like recognize when you feel like you might be emotionally compromised and then take a step back. And yeah, I don't know. There have been two big experiences in my life that have made me pay more attention to my emotional state. One is doing a lot of drugs, and two is
really?
and two is having a kid actually.
Okay.
So for the drug thing, something that I noticed was on a day-to-day basis, my emotional response is like this. I'm like very stable, very level. Maybe I'll get a little like upset about something like League of Legends or whatever. Maybe I'll get a little happy or whatever. But like I'm a very, very, very emotionally stable person. I go to sleep happy, I wake up happy. But I noticed that like when I'm doing like LSD or mushrooms, like my mood will wildly fluctuate based on like the changing of a song or something. And I'm way more aware of it when I'm like, if I'm like high on that type of drug. But I try to take that.
If you go to bed happy and wake up happy, why do you need drugs?
Because drugs are fun. They give you new experiences. But regardless, coming out of those experiences, I try to be like more aware of my emotional state, knowing that, well, okay, maybe there are things that impact me on a day-to-day that are influencing my mood, and I just don't notice it as much. And I've talked about this on stream a lot. One thing that I noticed the most for this, and it sucks because it's so hard to tell. So I have to actually I have to take a step back and just ask questions to myself because I can't tell. The number one thing is I'll be streaming, I'll be really pissed off, and it'll just be like a bad day. Like I'll actually be pissed. I'll be banning chatters left and right. I'll be banning subs. I'm just like, fuck you guys. I turn my stream off. I fucking go, maybe I'll go to McDonald's, go to some place, I'll get something to eat. And then after I eat, I'll be like, oh my God, I feel a million times better. I think I was just hungry. And it's funny because I'll tie this back into having a kid. Kids are so emotional.
Yes, they are.
They are so fucking stupid when it comes to recognizing their emotions. And if you've ever,
they don't care though. That's the thing. I got godchildren. I totally observe. I totally can relate.
I don't know if it's that they don't care. They just aren't aware. So like I'll be talking to Nathan and I'll be like, and he'll just be acting up. And I'll be like, Nathan, you need a fucking nap. You are a terror. And he's like, I'm not fucking
true.
Well, he actually doesn't kind of say it. But he's like, I'm not tired.
No,
I'm like, you are so tired. And you'll take them and like, I'm not tired. I don't want to. And you'll lay them in bed. And before you even close the door, they're fucking out.
Yeah,
like, completely asleep. Yeah.
Yes.
Or same thing when they're hungry. It's like, Nathan, you need to eat. You're being a piece of shit right now.
Okay,
you need some goddamn food.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you'll be like, I'm not hungry. And then they eat a little bit. And it's funny because the most funny thing is kids will try to fight it, but they won't. So like you know, like when you put them to sleep, you'll see sometimes like kids will fight sleeping so hard. They don't want to sleep. They'll try to roll around, but they'll be tired. And same thing when they're really hungry too. Sometimes you give them food and they're like, I'm not really hungry. And then they'll just like start eating it. Yeah. And then afterwards they're so much happier. And it's like, oh my God. But it's funny because we'll make fun of kids doing it because it's so obvious. But I think as adults, I think we do it too. So bringing all of that back, if it's impossible for you to know that you're grumpy because you're hungry and we eat every fucking day and you still can't notice sometimes that you're grumpy and you're hungry, which I have trouble with, you're probably not going to notice if you're in the middle of a horrible fucking relationship and you're also crazy emotionally compromised. So just be aware that sometimes you have to step back and you either have to be really honest with yourself or you have like that one good friend where you're like, hey, do you think I'm like fucking myself in this relationship? Because I don't know if I can tell right now. It's good to just be aware that our emotional states literally inhibit our ability to interpret fact and fiction.
Good point. Excellent point with the kids. I swear. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Do you want to answer the next one or you want to skip that one?
Who has the highest priority, your bros or your girlfriend? So I've seen two different huge life philosophies on this. You mentioned it earlier, actually. You said something that makes me think you lean to one side. I don't think there's a right or wrong one. So I've heard the life philosophy that your partner should be your best friend.
Yes.
But then I think I subscribe to the other life philosophy where my partner fills out like a very special, unique role for them. But I don't know if they're 100% like my best friend for everything.
You still have other best friends. Like I have some best friends in my life, you know, saying regardless.
Yeah, so for
they
me,
don't replace your current best friends. I guess that's what I want to. Sorry, I'm for interrupting you. They don't replace your current best friends. They are also your best friend.
So yeah, so like I don't consider like there to be a priority list between like my fiance or like another person I see or like my friends or whatever. Like it's all going to be relative to what's going on at the time. And the reason why I'm careful when I phrase that is because this is a problem that I have a lot, or that I've seen happen a lot, and that happens to me a lot.
Okay.
Is you run into this weird area sometimes where if you choose to do one thing over something with your significant other, they think that you don't like them as much as the other thing you're choosing. And I hate that idea. So so like if Melina wants to go do something or whatever, and instead I'd rather like just, let's say that she's like, oh, there's a pretty mountain I want to go hike because she loves outdoor stuff. I don't as much. She's like, and I'm like, well, actually, you know, like on that day, I really wanted to play League of Legends with my friend, Mr. Mooten.
Mr.
Mooten, yeah. So what she hears is, you actually like Mr. Mooten more than me because you want to do something with him instead, right? And that's the thing that I notice, like a lot of people, or it seems like a lot of women will have like that kind of mentality where if somebody chooses one thing over another thing, that they like that thing more than the other person. Even though when it would come to other priorities, like I'm never going to move in and live with Mr. Mooten over her, or I'm not going to like travel internationally with Mr. Mooten over her, or I'm not going to do it, right? Yeah. But they'll still get that. Yeah. So that's why. So when you talk about like highest priority, I don't like that. Like the highest priority is almost always going to be the person that you are living with, that you have a relationship with. It should be, but that doesn't mean that they're like the highest priority in every single category in your life.
True.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Good answer. I that's why I said you can skip it, but I'm really proud of you. You actually took it head on. That was an excellent answer. What do you think about the solution to the current incel problem?
I don't know. I think it's a really, really, really hard problem. I think that it's really hard to meet people today, and I don't know what the solution to that is. Ironically, there was Pete Buttigieg put out an idea, and I swear to God, he ripped this from my stream. The whole point of social media in the early days was to augment our social interactions, was to make it better, not replace them. And we've replaced a lot of like this face-to-face in real life stuff with like online interaction, and it's not the same. It's totally not the same. And
right.
I had an idea that I think that what we should do is we should have 4 hours every Sunday fucking mandatory community service from like 18 to 30. You have to go 4 hours. You're assigned to a group of 10 people, guys and girls, and every fucking Sunday for 4 hours, you're going to do some bullshit community service project, clean up trash, whatever the fuck. Because it feels like the most important times in your life where you get socialized with people are school and work.
True.
And people have this really weird idea that finding people that you click with for friendships and relationships is a matter of sorting through the people that you're the most compatible with. And you see this. So like, why is, Tinder is nice because, Republican, swipe left. They believe in this, swipe left. BLM, swipe left, or this thing, swipe left. They do this, blah, 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 and you find like the perfect, or like on OkCupid, it's like 52 dimensions of compatibility, 192 paradigms of personality, 7,488 characteristics of commonality. It's like, holy shit. But you notice that somehow, even though apparently it's so important, we have all this in common, when you stick a bunch of people together in an area, they all start being friends with each other and they all start fucking. You go to schools and everybody seems to make friends generally. Everybody is fucking generally. You go to workplaces and it's funny because people always have this dumb thing like, don't eat what you should. Don't fuck your coworker. Everybody fucks your coworker. Every fucking coworker environment. You said you were a police officer. I don't give a fuck. I know what happened there. It happens in every environment, every work environment. Because if you spend that much time around people, you're going to form friendships.
No lies detected.
Yep. You're going to start fucking. You're going to start forming friendships.
Right.
The whole point of social media in the early days was to augment our social interactions, was to make it better, not replace them. And we replaced a lot of like this face-to-face in real life stuff with like online interaction, and it's not the same. It's totally not the same. And we're getting more and more isolated and segregated today because of technology that originally when these things were created, I don't know if you remember like the first Facebook, like there were like four fucking tabs on Facebook. And one of those tabs was like checking into like parties and stuff.
Right.
The whole point of social media in the early days was to augment our social interactions, was to make it better, not replace them. And we replaced a lot of like this face-to-face in real life stuff with like online interaction. And it's not the same. It's totally not the same. And yeah, we've lost, like, we don't have really churches anymore. We don't really have very much community anymore. There's no more union meetings and any of that shit. So you've lost like all these like places where you'd meet people in real life. And now all you're left with is your job. And then that's it. Maybe online, but like a lot of these people you never meet, and these communities can be segregated. And yeah, so yeah, I don't know. It's really, really, really hard. We don't like meet a lot in real life doing things anymore with people that we don't like choose to be with automatically. So it's hard to meet new people.
Actually, this is going to surprise you. I had this conversation with, because I had Sargon on last week, and I was telling him, I said, Sargon, I said, we all come from the atheist community. I said, you know what? I said, this is going to shock you. I'm going to get back into the church because of the community. I said, there's no way I can go back into the belief of a deity like that. However, I do believe that I can embrace Christianity underneath a new mentality, and I'll begin to explain it to him. But I was like, but one of the things I do miss is the community that I had left when I left Christianity a long time ago. And then I went into the Nation of Islam, and then I went from the Nation of Islam to Sunni Muslim, and then after that it was like, dude, I tap out on religion altogether, and I begin to study all of the religions from Taoism to paganism to all of this. So I begin to miss the community that embrace, and of course you understand I'm in the South, so that's really big down here. What do you think about, I'm not saying that they should do this, but what about embracing the communities that they left? What do you think?
Yeah, so something that you're kind of getting at that was really unfortunate is you have like there's two words here. You've got theology, and then you've got like not religion. It's another word that I'm looking for, but like so you have theology, which is like the belief in God, and then you have like this collection of rituals and community service and everything, and community building and community organizing. And these two things, for some reason, atheists in their desperate attempt to like get rid of theology. And this perfectly describes me because I was a hardcore atheist, anti-theist. When I was 16, 17, I went to Catholic school my whole life. I became very atheist. For some reason, we ceded all of the ritual and traditional, all the rituals and traditions, we ceded all of that to religious people, and we just dumped all of it. And I think that there needed to be some replacement there because there is so much value in church and in going to church, independent of the theological aspect, that I think that just giving all of that up is really, really, really unfortunate.
Yeah.
And yeah, like especially with not colored communities, people of color communities. I don't know how the fuck to say it, but when I would
I don't see no difference. Color,
Sure, yeah.
people of color, I don't see the difference of it. But that's your side that got that issue, not ours.
Yeah, sure. Okay, color communities. Even the white communities that I would go to Catholic church with were like pretty communally driven. But like when I would go to church with my black friends, that shit was fucking crazy. It was like a 3-hour thing. Their kids fucking running all over. Like you'd like meet other kids, you'd see other families. Like people, like church was like a 3 to 4 hour thing for his family. And when I would go, there'd be like so many people that you meet, everything. And then in Florida in Hialeah, when my Cuban grandma, when they'd go to like I guess like Hispanic churches and shit, or maybe they were only Cuban churches, I don't know, but you'd see like so much socializing, everything that goes on there. And it was like such a huge thing that like people would like look forward to it. And depending on what you like, you get to put on like a cute dress or like your cute little outfit or whatever, and you get to show up and you get to dress up and you get to have fun, you get to talk to people. And yeah, losing that like whole event seems like pretty sad for most people. It would be nice to replace that somehow.
Yeah. Because that's the only, that to me, and I've actually been happy, you know what I'm saying? I've been happy, period. But I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And I don't hide and say, oh, they go, you know, so how long have you been a child of the cloth? And I let them know, like, well, you know, and I
I'm just here for the bread.
Believe it or not, I don't get any hostility. Actually, I get more attention because I think they're trying to like win me over. You know,
because they want to grow their community and everything.
Yeah. So there's that. So it's been. I've actually really enjoyed it a lot.
And I hate this so much, and it's so frustrating and embarrassing to me. But like, Melina actually pointed this out. For whatever fucking reason, conservative people tend to be so much more friendly in person that like if you go to churches and you hang out with these people, like, usually they're going to be like really cool and really friendly. And like, you know, there's a lot of like redneck white trash people in the South and shit, but like most of them, now I'm white, but I mean, it sounds like even your experience is generally pretty friendly.
Very
like,
friendly.
Yeah, generally like pretty hospitable, pretty friendly. Like we'll joke around or like, so I mean, like that's another thing too, yeah.
I'm gonna tell you this little quick story in reference to a redneck situation. I drive. You don't know this, but I have a motorcycle. It's a 1100 cc Honda Shadow, and I was riding it in the backwoods somewhere on a dirt road, and I turned it off, but I left my light on because I saw this beautiful pond. And I went over there and I sat there for several hours. I came back, my freaking bike was dead, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm over here in bummerfuck goddamn Lynch County and my daggone bike won't start. And so there was this huge, the stereotype is real, huge truck, Confederate license plate in the front, okay? And this small guy got out, and then this big guy got out, and the small guy had the Confederate flag with them. It was this racer who died in NASCAR with the shades on, and I think he had the number.
The Dale Earnhardt guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then it had "Keep on Flying" and everything. And I'm swear to God, I was scared as hell. I was like, oh shit, what's going on? And like, what's going on there, gal? And I was like, I left my bike on, and it does the start, and they actually taught me how to kickstart my bike. And when it kickstarted, they turned it off and they kept it up. We was out there for like a good 40 minutes until I got it. And once I got it, they told me where the nearest place to get a new battery and everything like that. And I was so appreciative. And it's like, they are friendly. I never really had any bad encounters with any of the rednecks down here. But I'm not going to lie, I was scared out my fucking mind, you know, when I saw those two guys coming towards me coming out of that big truck, stuff like that. So yeah, they're pretty cool down here, you know.
Not to say that like I'm sure there are of course bad experiences people have, but sometimes people are really quick to stereotype like every single experience as being fucking horrible or whatever. And I did like I don't want to, I don't want to make this like, I don't want to get like too political too or whatever, but it's one of the things that's upset me about like the whole ACAB shit or whatever too.
Yeah.
Like people have this like most cops, I personally feel like most cops, at least outside of like the major cities, are probably like are like fairly friendly people. If your like car is broken down, like they'll try to help you, they'll drive you to get some gas, I guess. Like they're generally like pretty decent people. But like but you are going to run into shit cops, and cops that are in big cities, just in my personal experience, it's sometimes more dickish as well. But probably because they see some crazy fucking shit. Right? Yeah. But and like cops that run like speeding traps, okay, fuck them. They're always going to give you a ticket if they pull you over no matter what story, right? So there's going to be exceptions. But like, yeah, but people have this idea that like, if you're black and you get stopped by a cop, you are going to be fucking executed on the spot.
No.
And it's like, damn, like people are so crazy sometimes with the stereotyping. Like, just chill.
I think people don't understand, and I'm speaking as a former police officer who worked in a big city. I would never wish anyone to see what I've seen, and that's where my most extreme PTSD comes from. It's under control, so it's not a big deal, and it doesn't affect my life. But I wish, I think if I rarely have regrets, but I think that those situations that I experienced, you see the worst, the absolute worst of people and the worst of situations. It is so horrid. I'm not even going to repeat it, what I witnessed, but because you see the filth of people, you do get to the point where it kind of hardens you a little bit so that you don't go crazy.
Sure.
And then it also makes you not think much of humanity, really.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my dude. I hope I get her on stream someday because god damn is she fucking funny. I have a big, can I say dyke? Is that an allowed word?
We can say
Okay.
on YouTube, yeah.
Big dyke lesbian aunt, okay? And she is very Cuban, NYPD, fully retired. She put in her 20 years or whatever in the service. And god damn, is she fucking hilarious, dude. Because I would debate, because I used to be way more, when I was younger, like very liberal or whatever. And it's funny because like, I so many arguments that like, I talk to her like, Ceci, you can't just stereotype people like that's not blah, blah, blah. And she'd be like, Stevie, by the time I hopped off my fucking bike, if I see you, I already know 95% who the fuck you are. It's up to you to say the other 5% to figure out if you're going to have a bad day or not. Like, she'd be crazy. She's like, and it's just so funny. Listen to her and her crazy fucking stories, like doing like night patrol and shit. And, oh my God. Yeah. Something that you said earlier, and I say this on stream a lot. I do believe that there are, at least enough for us to notice, there are cops that act in really fucked up ways in the United States. And I do think that they should be held accountable for it. And I do think that we need to reevaluate how like cops and citizens interact. But I always tell people, like, people are very quick to look at all these videos of, look at this police stop, watch this, where this police executes this, innocent black person in a car, blah, blah, blah. And they're really fucked up and they're horrible and they're hard to watch. But I also tell people, you need to watch a lot of these like traffic stops where a cop pulls over, they're patient with a person, and the guy ends up breaking away, gets a gun, and executes like these cops like on camera, and you hear them like screaming and shit.
The most recent one was so hard to watch. We watched that the white guy got pulled over and
with the two cops that
and it's
funny because like, if you were to go back and listen to this, like up until the guy gets out of the car and shoots him, everybody's saying, why are these cops being such dicks? Why are they shouting at the dude? Like, why are they being like such assholes?
That's why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now I'm not saying that justifies or excuses anything, but like, man, it's when things can flip like that fast, like it puts you in another state of mind. And it's good to just be aware of that, just even if you do still want to ACAB and hate cops, fine, that's fine. But just at least be aware of like what you're talking about or like the other side that you're like speaking out against. Cause it's good to have that perspective,
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. 2 more questions. Cause, oh God, talking with you is so fun, Stephen. I'm having a good time. You kind of touched on this earlier. If you can give but if you don't want to talk about it again, we can go to the next one. If you can give any advice to your young self, but excuse me, no, I think I took that out. If you can give any advice to young males between the ages of 14 and 21, what would it be?
So in terms of, I think self-development is really, really, really important. So like something that I wish and I'm finally getting back on this train again. I wish I would have taken this more seriously growing up. I think everybody should be somewhat like physically active. Like there's no reason not to just like go to the gym. I think you get like gym memberships like $30 a month, like, or get outside and walk a little bit, like take care of your body like some point a little bit, because it is like it's like the thing that you live with the most more than anything else that you'll ever have. So like that's like number one, just make sure that you like do like take reasonable efforts to take care of yourself. I'm not saying like don't ever eat fast food ever again or whatever, but just like take like reasonable steps to like take care of yourself. That's number one. Number two, this is pointless advice to give because everybody will ignore it. And the second you get through life a little bit, you'll realize that it is probably the most important advice is try hard in school. God damn. You will never, ever, ever find a motherfucker that finishes college or didn't finish college, and you ask them, it's like, do you think that like school is a waste of time, or that you were happy with the amount of effort you put in? Ubiquitously, every single motherfucker will tell you, I wish I would have played like a little bit less World of Warcraft. I wish I would have just skipped a couple of these things and just studied a little bit harder. My life would be so much better for it. Just a little bit. I would have gotten that full ride scholarship. I would have passed in fucking class. I wouldn't have had to be a super senior, taking 6 years to get my degree. Like every single fucking person that you meet out of school will tell you, I wish I would have tried a little bit harder in school. It's so dumb. I didn't need to do that extra mythic raid. I didn't need to go for that extra night of, I could have just did a little bit more. Right. Yeah. So like try hard in school. Do like a little bit of self-development. I think those are like the two things that I would like, those like general broad things. There's like a million other like more specific things. Those are like the two general pieces of advice I would give. Yeah.
Okay. And last question that I'm going to ask from my list. I don't know anything about dating apps. I don't do dating apps, and I don't have to. Never have, never will. It's not the thing I deal with. However, I'm encountering a lot of women and men who are, that's all they know. You deal with dating apps. So can you just give some advice on the do's and don'ts on dating apps for beginners or anyone who is currently only relying on dating apps?
So if you're going to use dating apps, the number one thing I would say to shift your mind towards it, I'd say this for gamer people, stop viewing Tinder matches as quest rewards and start viewing them as like rare drops. So like, for some reason, when people get on these dating apps, every time they match with somebody, they're like, okay, this has to be the one. And they will chase that shit down so fucking hard. But that's not true. You're going to run into a lot of garbage on dating apps. Swipe a lot, meet a lot of people, and understand that you might go through like, 10, 20, 30 dates before you find somebody that's like, oh, this person's like really cool. Like I get along well with this person. You have to be persistent. You need to employ like reasonable strategy. So like make sure that you have good picture. Like don't do this weird thing where you've got like two pictures and one is from like 1992 and it looks like it was ripped off a fucking VHS player. Okay. Where like if they were to put this picture on their TV, the fucking girl from The Ring would come out of the well and kill them. Okay. Don't do dumb shit like that. Like have like decent pictures where you look okay and you're dressed all nice or whatever. And then just you try to talk to a lot of people and work your way through a lot of profiles, and then like hopefully you meet people and you'll find somebody eventually. Hopefully that way. That's like the goal, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
If you could, don't rely on dating profiles at all. We have a really bad time. I'm so glad that I learned this early in life. I'm so glad that I missed the internet age by like in the early part of my life, because I think I would be swept up in this just as much as anybody else, especially because I live on the internet so much. So I'm so grateful for my real life experience. You do not know any, okay. This is just a fact. I hate that this is real and I hate it so much. But chemistry is very, 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 very real, and you'll never capture that in a dating profile. You can't. There are people that I have met in my life that, given the collection of traits they have, if I saw them on Tinder or OkCupid or Hinge or whatever, I'd swipe left a million times. It's the easiest swipe lefts in the world. I'm never going to get along with this person. But when you meet them in real life, it's like, damn, I click with this motherfucker so hard. And I don't know why. We don't really have any shared interests. We don't really do much. And politically, we're completely disagree with each other. But holy fuck, it is so much fun to be around this person. I love it. It's so enjoyable. So when you get hooked into this online world, you get into this weird mindset where you think you can filter people based on traits and characteristics and personality. You really don't know until you see somebody in real life. So never be scared of like giving real life a try and meeting friends of friends and meeting people through, like groups of friends and coworkers, whatever. Like do that, because until you've got like this big repertoire of like people that you've seen in real life and you've met in real life and you've interacted with in real life, it's really hard to say like what you actually want or don't want.
Okay. Very good. All right. So that concludes my questions. I'm gonna go ahead and end our interaction here. I just want to say I knew he was gonna do good. I knew it. I was like, I said, you know what? I'm really good at picking winners. And I said, Stephen, although I, do not suggest his lifestyle for my crowd of traditional conservatives, I think that he has a lot of wisdom based upon your life experience. See, this is the most important thing that will make you knowledgeable about certain aspects of life and things that other people don't have the option or the experience. So, and I think you did very well, and I'm very happy to have you come. And I hope to have you come back again in the future.
Thanks. Yeah, anytime. Any topic, just let me know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who do you have lined up next for this?
I don't know. I just had Sargon last week. I just had you. I've been so busy. Like My political channel. I think I told you that last time when I was cussing out Lego Head. That my political channel is taking off. So it's. I have to make sure. This is my third or fourth time. Seeing my channel take it off, and I believe it or not, I have sabotaged it. This time I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to sabotage it. I'm just going to go ahead and let it do what it do, and I'm caught up in the algorithm. So my attention span has been on that. But I hope to invite more people from the left, center, and the right. It's easy for me to get people on the right because I'm on the right. But well, who do you suggest? Who's on the left? Or a liberal or a left-leaning centrist that is also experienced in women. That's the key here. Or married.
Man.
Or
well, I've got two big examples that I could think of. It'd be great if you could get, there's a guy on Twitch called Central Committee. I think we'd all want to see that episode.
Okay.
Mike from PA or Vosh. I think either of those two would be,
Mike from PA
I think I want to see.
Are you serious? You just trolled me.
I think we'd want to see that episode.
No,
I think
we
it'd be
don't.
Really funny. I think we all. I think I speak for all of us when I say we'd all want to see those episodes. All right, those can be the lost tapes. Okay, especially your third season release, that the unaired ones. Yeah, but.
All right, Stephen. So thank you so much for coming by. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to leave all of his. I heard you on TikTok now. Yeah, you just got a TikTok. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm Destiny on TikTok, yeah.
So I'm going to leave all of his social media links below this video. And so go check him out, his Twitch, his TikTok, his Instagram, all of the things. I'm going to get all of it from him. And you go ahead and check him out. Now, remember, he is a liberal. So if you're my audience, take what it is that you will, okay? But I invited him on here for this particular topic only. So if you go there, understand you're going to deal with liberal politics.
We got healthcare for everybody, universal healthcare, pro-trans rights. Oh my God, we have so much left-leaning, liberal-friendly content there. It's going to be great.
All right, I see you guys next time. Later, taters.